This video has some trigger warnings, including anxiety, fainting, and injury descriptions. Please be advised. We also discuss agoraphobia, an anxiety disorder commonly misunderstood that you can't leave your house. I'd like to bring awareness to other symptoms involved in this phobia and how I have come to understand it better and seek the proper help to get through it. I hope this is helpful to some of you. Hello everyone, welcome to a midweek video. We're going to chat about something that is going to be a little bit emotionally, I think, exhausting. So please bear with me as I ramble, and I want to talk about it here because it's going to get long-winded in my vlog at the end of the week and I just want to get it out of the way. If you're wondering what happened to my finger, this is the reason why I'm doing this video. This right here is the reason why I'm doing this video. That if psychology type stuff fascinates you, if the human mind, if human struggles, this is going to get really real with you, and mental health. So if those are things that fascinate you and interest you, then please do stick with this video. If that's not your thing, then maybe this isn't the video for you. But I am quite intrigued by just how the mind works and how anxious people are anxious and why, or phobias or mental health struggles, all of that. I really find it interesting because I personally have some mental health struggles. So I think it just naturally makes you curious about it because you want to know why you feel the way that you feel. A disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional. I go to a therapist, just like I think most of us should be. A lot of us could use some therapy. If you are somebody who gets like faint or feels faint, to not watch it if you get triggered by talking about it, because I can. Sometimes if I talk about it, I can feel myself getting a little lightheaded. So just keep that in mind. But the main thing I wanted to talk about here is how I have been diagnosed with agoraphobia and also panic disorder anxiety. And I have had a huge epiphany in that. And this is why. This is why. So if you want to know what happened to my pinky and what's up with all of this kerfuffle, then stay tuned. Yesterday, I got up from a very deep sleep and I went to open up my curtains in my newly rearranged bedroom. And I think the mixture of being still really asleep, kind of in a trance, not being able to see in a dark room, on top of just things being in a different space, on top of a piece of molding that needs to be buffed down. There's a few factors as to what made me hit the wall in a way that, and this is graphic, so if you don't like this stuff, fast forward to this timestamp right here. If you don't like to hear about this kind of stuff, I wouldn't. I would skip if I were you. I didn't trip, but I just kind of went into the wall fast because it was not expected to be there, and hit that raw edge of the molding in just a way that I have this new like manicure gel that's making my nails really strong. So there's no give in my nail. There's rock hard nails. It stubbed it back and up and opened it like a clamshell. Okay, I'm getting a little nauseous. I'm having a hard time with it because even like in scary movies, when they do torturing things, which I don't like movies like that, where like Saw and things like that, where they just painfully torture people, I can't with videos like movies like that. And so when they do like nail things or eye things, I'm like, I can't watch that. I didn't even realize it at first.
'Tis but a scratch.
It felt like a stub. So I would say pain level wise, it felt like a stub. It didn't really hurt to the extent that you would expect, okay? It was like a stubbed, quick shock of pain. I was like, huh, that's painful and that doesn't feel right. That was abnormal. And I still proceeded to open up the curtain so that I can see. And then I'm like now really waking up because I have light, I can see what's going on, and I can see my finger. And I look over at it and I see the nail beds completely like ripped off. And it's just bleeding.
Just a flesh wound.
And I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is worse than I expected. So I like walk to the bathroom and I put my finger underneath the faucet and I can just see all the blood. Immediately wrapped it with, I think, did I make it to the, I don't remember. I must have made it to the kitchen then because I had a paper towel around it. So I wrapped it really tightly and I immediately put pressure on it and pressed it tight so that it would stop the bleeding. So luckily my brain knew what to do, but I also knew, because of the situation that I am prone to fainting, I thought, you better go lay down right now. And so I got back into bed. That's when I can feel the faint come on, the darkness comes on, the lights go out in my brain. It's a different kind of darkness. You know, when you go to sleep, you're just floating, you're just asleep, you're floating in your sleep, and you're having these dreams, and you're just like in a little Z, your little Z's. I have a noise machine that makes a lovely consistent sound, and I have my puppies and they're all curled up with me, and it's great. It's bliss. This is the depths of the black hole of the universe. If there's anywhere that you go when you pass out, you're going into that. That's where it is. That's where you're at. You're floating around inside of that black hole. It's the darkest darkness of all darkness. And I don't know how long I was out because I've never passed out alone before. Luckily, I was fine. I was laying down. I was safe, but my heart rate went so slow. It was like... And there was a voice there. There was a man's voice. Hello? No one I can say, not my dad. You know, when I think about like it being, and my dad's alive, so it's not like, you know, I was being spoken to from the next realm. But I can imagine how if somebody is in a coma or, you know, has like a near-death experience, how that's the feeling that they get, is that they're speaking with somebody, because there's, and I know that this is nothing like that, but I could see how that might be a similar experience. Now, I don't know, and no one can confirm that, but it's a different, it's not asleep. It's not asleep. It's a different world you're floating around up in. My body was convulsing, and so I was like, wake up. It's the syncope kind of tremors and convulsions that you have when you are, it's an oxygen thing, I think, but don't quote me on this, I'm no doctor. And when I finally awoke and came to, this tremor stopped, the light came back, everything was back, and I was like, what the hell? What just happened? Oh, my finger. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my God. So I made a homemade saline rinse with boiled water and salt, soaked it and wrapped it. Now that I've gotten bandaged up, now that everything's good, but I'm like, great, I've lost my nail. You don't grow a nail back for 6 months to a year after it's fallen off. So this is gonna be an eyesore. Got to think of a way to make it cute. You know how people like bedazzle their eye patches when they have like eye problems? That's what I'm gonna need to do with this. I mean, I could put some rhinestones on it, should I? Also really hoping I don't have to go to urgent care, so fingers crossed that it heals kind of on its own and I can just handle it on my own, because I don't want to go to urgent care about this. I really don't, because I have white coat syndrome, I have issues with needles, I have issues with hospitals. It's something that has developed from passing out in doctor's offices so many times. I can't. I don't want to go. I won't. I am that like don't want to go to the doctor person, unless I'm just going to like for a checkup, you know, we're just going to chat and just talk about like health stuff, and it's a annual. The first 2 times I ever fainted was from a heat stroke when I was like 5 or 6. I was very young, and the schools were letting us all play outside in a heat wave, and I felt funky. I never felt this way before. I felt really tired, and I still remember this. I was walking towards the door to the school, and it was like, you know those moments where they take a room and then they pull the room out in a movie and it just, everything gets further away and further away from you? It felt like that. Like the door started to get further away from my grasp, and I just hit the ground, and I woke up in the school nurse office, and they had let me know that I fainted and my parents were coming, or my mom or somebody was coming to get me, and I had a heat stroke. And so I was like, whoa, that was a weird feeling, you know? And then I've passed out since then many times. Just in case, I know a lot of you are thinking like, do you have POTS? Do you have blood sugar issues? Do you have, no, I've had all of this testing done. My dad and I talked about it a little bit, and he has fainted in getting blood work. He can't get blood work, and my dad's a big dude. He's like, my dad's big. He's a big guy. So when he goes into the doctor's office, he's like you're gonna want to lay me down because you're not gonna catch me. And he's like looking at this little nurse lady, like he's towering over them, and you're like, you're right, I won't be able to catch you, let's lay you down. He's a big guy, so it's not a tough thing, it's not a you're weak thing. And like I said before, I can get tattooed for 4 hours, 5 hours, no problem, but they're just adding to me, they're not taking away. I've felt from nurses that I'm being a bit of a wuss, and especially looking at me, they're like, you, needles, really? And it's starting to get really annoying. Like, I'm starting to it's actually starting to piss me off. If you are someone who is in therapy for panic anxiety and agoraphobia, and it's because you've had a spell of fainting throughout your life in certain scenarios, wherever you are, when you faint, you will not want to go back and do that thing. So they don't realize how much work I've had to do to be able to even go do these things that are challenging, and they don't get it. All of this has happened mostly around people in like big crowded areas, right? That is where I suddenly realized, oh no, if I'm in a crowd, what if I faint? Because first of all, it's a scary thing to faint. It's scary, it feels scary, your body is shutting down. It's not a nice feeling, it's not a pleasant feeling. And then on top of that, the embarrassment. And then on top of that, all of the people that crowd around you. So when you faint in front of people, it's like the moment I wake up, I immediately start apologizing. When nurses and doctors are taking my blood work and I faint, I'm always like, I'm so sorry, I'm such a pain in the ass. And I need to stop doing that, because I need to give myself a little bit of love here, instead of thinking that there's something wrong with me and that I'm just, you know, a weakling. That just makes it worse. And I've learned that now. Like, that just makes the whole scenario feel 10,000 times worse. But this is why I have agoraphobia, because I have the agoraphobia where I don't like crowds. I don't like certain transportation where I feel stuck, because if I have a panic attack, how do I get out of it? I'm so scared of this getting really out of control to where I don't go places and I don't live my life. And that's why I'm in therapy, is to prevent myself from falling into this kind of terrible rabbit hole of fear of fainting. If you are somebody who has struggled with ever fainting in your life, or if you've ever fainted once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime even, no big deal. Like, you know, my dad said he's done it every time he goes to doctor, and now he just knows. He's like, every time I go to doctor, I have to let them know. Now, the scenarios that I've had where I've fainted has been concerts. It has been waiting in line at a club with friends. One time I was with an ex-boyfriend of mine, and we were viewing an apartment, and the thought of living in that apartment with him terrified me so much that I actually passed out because I realized how wrong all of this was, and I didn't want to live there with him. I didn't want this big life change. It was too much for me at that time, and I saw my life like flash before my eyes, living with him in this like really horrible, like rundown, almost like a motel type, like it looked like a place where people were up to no good. And he was like, this is a cool place, I like it. And I'm like, I can't live here. So I had a really bad panic attack. I felt like I held my breath maybe, and so I fainted. For me, because it's happened in social surroundings and other scenarios where I've been in a crowd, it has now caused me to have an avoidant behavior. I'm getting better at learning how to express that to people. Like, I have to be near an exit, just so you know, because if the walls start closing in on me, I'm not gonna make it. And if I can get outside and get air before it happens, I'm usually okay. And so this is how I've had to readjust my life. But now, because of therapy and because of tools and because of things that I know, I can have some kava beforehand, I can take my beta blockers, I can do this, I can do that. I have all these little things that I can do. Like for this event I went to, the last event, big crowd in a big banquet hall, and it was the first time that I was like, I'm just gonna sit wherever we sit. I have no control over this. I can't tell a whole table of people at my husband's work why I can't sit near, you know, with them, because I have to be by the exit. Like, I don't want it to be something that my husband has to rearrange all of his stuff for all the time, constantly accommodating me. It's annoying for him. He wants to just live his life. He doesn't have this anxiety, I do. So I have to be able to work on it on my own with my therapist, so that when I go into these scenarios, I feel safe. So we're doing EMDR, which is the dot on the screen. It helps put the back of the mind back to a place where your experience is nice instead of a terrible experience. So it resets these memories over time that have built up into something like this, and it makes them pleasant. So you're like, this is great. This is what cards I was dealt and things that have happened to me over time in my life. I just wanted to make sure that anybody out there who's struggling with agoraphobia, I don't know what your trigger was. And that's the thing, is that we all have different experiences. But I will say that when you do have a panic attack, wherever you are in that moment will probably kind of be something that throughout your life will be a fearful thing for you. So if that happened in this scenario and you felt awful, you're not going to want to go back and do the thing again. You know, that's like asking a rabbit that visited the same little bush that one time it went to that bush and there was a lion in it. Now you're asking the rabbit to go back to the bush. It's going to be like, hell no, there's a freaking lion in there. I ain't going in there. Hell no, I'm not even going to do bushes anymore. I'm done with bushes. It's so hard to describe to other people that you're not under any direct attack from a lion or a beast of any sort. But this is what I said to my therapist yesterday. I feel like I live in a constant state of a lion is around the corner. It's because it's happened in so many scenarios now in my life. And something too, talking to my doctor, I'm now on progesterone, and a lot of this stuff becomes worse and heightened as you age, as a woman ages, because your hormones start to become imbalanced and your body and your whole everything is now readjusting to the estrogen. Things are just going kind of out of whack and your anxiety starts to peak. The progesterone has really been smoothing that out. If you're in your late 30s and you're starting to feel this weird anxiety out of nowhere, maybe talk to your doctor about having your tests done to see if maybe your hormone levels, but that's something you want to talk to your doctor about. I'm not telling you to do that, but that has been a huge help in I would say what it does is that when I'm just hanging out around the house and I think about like something I have to do that's like kind of scary that normally would have triggered me, it's not really there anymore. I'm just like, oh, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out when I get to it. And before I'd be like riddled with this constant state of anxiety and feeling horrible and just really wanting to like not have to do the thing, and it makes you want to stay home and you're tired and you're always tired because you're just constantly thinking about this stuff. So it's tough. It's a lot to get through. It's a lot to navigate in life. The reason why I want to talk about it, it's hard to put yourself on the internet like this because you do fear what people are going to make up in their mind, or judgments, or fill in the blanks. If anything, maybe you just won't feel as alone in this. Know that there's a way out, know that there's help, know that there's other people going through it. There's a variety of reasons. When I did that agoraphobia video, some of you had said, I think I have agoraphobia. And I think there's a difference between being agoraphobic from panic attacks and just being a homebody. And I know that I'm also a homebody. I'm a homebody with agoraphobia. This is not good. So I really have to force myself out to do things. But if you have ever fainted and you're prone to panic attacks, my heart goes out to you. I'm right there with you. It's a sucky feeling. It's scary. It's frightening. And no one enjoys having to deal with this. Nobody enjoys having to deal with these things in their life. Some people go through their life and never have to experience that at all. If you're that one of those people, I doubt you're watching this video because it wouldn't interest you. But if you're watching this, maybe you've had that experience at some point and it terrified you and you don't know what's going on. I have been going to doctors about this stuff. I've been seeing a therapist about this stuff. I've got on some medications for it. I, have 1,000 things I'm doing to try to improve my mental health. I'm on a journey. I'm on a journey of feeling amazing. And so while I'm in that whole just going through it, why not share that so that other people who are wanting to better themselves and just feel free from these chains of fear that haunt you and run your life if you let it. It doesn't have to, and it doesn't have to run your life. Get on top of it before it gets on top of you, because it's suffocating. And I numbed myself with drinking to not feel it, and that worked great for a while, until I realized I'm not working on the problem. And I've said this before, and this was something I said in my sobriety video. Anxiety and everything was a turd in a litter box, and I was just covering it up with litter. And now in my life, I'm cleaning out the shit, and I want a clean litter box. If you are able to find a therapist, find someone. And if you don't like your therapist, find another one. Get one until you get the right one. Because I went through 2 and I was just like, I'm gonna keep looking. Plus I was looking for specific, I wanted them to have experience in specific categories that were important to me. So that too, like, do a little bit of research and make sure that they have the experience in that realm and area that you're looking for. Because I specifically wanted somebody in EMDR so that they can help me with just these issues that I've had throughout my life with this anxiety and panic disorder. And I didn't even know I had I didn't know it was called agoraphobia. I always thought what everybody else thinks, where it's like Sigourney Weaver can't get out of their house in that movie, and it's not that. It's very misunderstood, and I would love to raise awareness about how that's not what it is. I mean, I have to say that to my friends, I have to say that to my family. I'm like constantly reminding them. It's almost like I don't even want to call it agoraphobia, because even though that's the definition, and that's the medical definition of it and the clinical definition of it, I almost want to call it something else, because I need people to understand what this is about. It's not just a home-based thing. It's more so about having a panic attack and being humiliated in a public scenario, you know? So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to talk about that with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's a weird one to talk about, but I really appreciate you, and feel free to comment below anything that you want. But if you don't, if it's private for you, don't think you gotta overshare anything with me just because I am. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy this, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.
Thank you.